I'm 92 years old. My name is Loretta James. After my husband died, a woman I had never seen before knocked on my door. Her voice was shaking. Ms. James, your husband had another family for 40 years. 40 years. I got married in 1971. I was 27. He was 30. From that day until he passed in 2023, I spent 52 years with that man. Same house, same church, same bed. Folks in our neighborhood used to look at us and say, "Now that right there is a real marriage." And I believed it too. But out of those 52 years, for 40 of them, he had another home, another wife, another set of children in the same city. I still remember what that woman showed me that day. There were photographs, there were documents, and there was a ring. Same ring I'd been wearing my whole life. Was the man I shared my life with someone I never really knew? Was my marriage even real? Then who did I spend 52 years with? It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness. It felt like the floor just dropped out from under me. My whole world was falling apart, and nobody around me had any idea. People always said I was a lucky woman. My husband was a steady man. Woke up at 6 every morning, went to work, came home in the evening. He didn't drink too much. He never raised a hand to me. Back in those days, that alone made him a good husband. I ran a little beauty shop in our neighborhood. Small place, but that was my whole world. Women came in to get their hair done, and they'd talk, they'd laugh, they'd cry, they'd tell me everything. Some of them had husbands running around on them. Some of them came in holding divorce papers, and I'd sit there listening, thinking to myself, that's not me, I'm fine. That was the formula I lived by. Work hard, be faithful, be a good wife, and life won't betray you. My husband traveled a lot for work. 2-3 nights a week he'd come home late. Sometimes he'd be gone for a day or two. I never thought it was strange. No, let me say that right. I didn't want to think it was strange. When that man walked through the door, I fixed him a plate and he said thank you. That was our routine, quiet, stable, predictable. I felt safe inside of it. For 52 years, I never once questioned that safety. Looking back now, that was the whole problem. In the photographs that woman showed me, my husband was smiling, next to another woman, in front of another set of children. There was a Christmas tree, there was a birthday cake, there was a family portrait on a sofa. We had the same pictures in our house, Christmas tree in the background, kids blowing out candles, sitting side by side on the couch, smiling. They were the same angles, same expressions, same smile. What I felt in that moment was not anger. What I felt was the fear that maybe I was the copy. I was not the only one in his life. I was just one side of that man, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday wife. On the other days, another woman fixed him a plate. Another woman ironed his shirts. Another woman fell asleep next to him, but that was not the hardest part. The hardest part was knowing that he was the exact same man in both houses. Same quiet voice, same steady routine, same thank you, baby. I always believed there was a side of him only I got to see, a look only I knew, a habit only I noticed, a warmth he saved just for me. There was nothing like that. It was all shared. Every moment I felt special over 52 years had been split right down the middle. Back when I had the shop, there was a regular named Erline. Erline came in once a month. She'd sit in my chair and we'd talk about this and that, but one day she got real quiet. She looked at me through the mirror and said, "Loretta, you always know where your husband goes." I laughed. "Girl, that man don't know nothing but work. I got nothing to worry about." Erline turned her head and didn't say another word, and she never brought it up again. I didn't understand back then why Erline asked me that, why she looked at me with those careful eyes. After my husband died, after I found out the truth, I thought about Erline. She knew. Most of the people in that neighborhood probably knew, and nobody said a thing. Some of them didn't tell me because they felt sorry for me. Some of them didn't tell me because it wasn't their business, and some of them thought I already knew. I was the only one who didn't, or maybe I was the only one pretending not to. After I found out the truth, I couldn't do anything for days. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I just sat in my kitchen chair staring at the wall. But here's the strange thing. After a few days, the anger went away. I wasn't mad at my husband anymore. There's no point being angry at a man who's already in the ground. Instead, I started asking questions about myself. Did I really not know? When he came home at 11 at night saying, "Work ran late." When money disappeared from the account every month with no explanation, when the phone rang and he took it in the other room with the door closed, when he said, "I'll be right back on Christmas Day," and didn't come home for 3 hours. What did I say every single time? Nothing. I never once asked, "Where were you?" I never once said, "Why are you so late?" I never once looked him in the eye and asked, "Are you hiding something from me?" Why? Because I was scared. Scared of the answer. Scared that this house, this marriage, this life I built would all come apart. If you don't ask, the truth doesn't exist. That's what I believed. No, that's what I chose to believe. Over 52 years, there were hundreds of moments that didn't add up, and hundreds of times I looked the other way. Once you close your eyes, it gets easier to keep them closed. And once that becomes a habit, it becomes your whole life. That was my life. That was... The first thing I did after finding out the truth was call my son, my oldest, Marcus. I asked him, "Did you know?" There was a long silence on the other end. That silence told me everything. My son had been carrying his father's secret since he was 17 years old. All through high school, all through college, through his own wedding. Every holiday, that boy sat at our dinner table and smiled like nothing was wrong. I asked him why he never told me. He said he was afraid it would break me. That answer killed me twice. Once, because my own son lived inside a lie just to protect me. And again, because in my son's eyes, I was someone who couldn't handle the truth. It wasn't just my husband who kept me in the dark. My son, my neighbors, the people at church, they all treated me like I was made of glass, too fragile for the truth, too weak to know. And the worst part is, they weren't wrong, because I did break. After that, every time I looked in the mirror, I asked myself the same thing. Who is this woman? The woman who believed she was a good wife for 52 years. The woman the neighborhood respected. The woman who sat in her shop listening to other women's troubles, thinking, "That's not me." Was she real, or was she just a character I made up? I spent my whole life living inside the role of one man's wife. If that role was a lie, then what did I do with my life? I have lived 92 years. And I still don't know how many of those years were really mine. People are afraid of betrayal, afraid their husband might be running around, afraid their wife might leave, afraid someone might be lying to them. But what I learned after 92 years on this earth is that there's something worse than betrayal, living with the truth and never asking about it. I wasn't deceived. I chose this. I chose not to ask. I chose not to look. I chose to keep believing the story that my marriage was perfect, because it was easier that way, easier than facing what was really going on. Closing my eyes hurt a whole lot less than opening them. But you know what that cost me? It cost me 52 years. 52 years I could have spent being my real self. 52 years I could have spent finding real love. 52 years I could have spent being honest with myself. I gave all that time to the role of one man's wife. And that role wasn't even real. Betrayal happens once. But lying to yourself, that's something you do every single day. I lied to myself every day for 52 years. Why am I telling you this? Not to talk bad about my husband, not to get pity. I'm 92 years old. People tell me I've lived a long life. But sometimes I sit here and wonder, did I really live it all? I spent 52 years being somebody's wife. If those 52 years were a lie, then I have never once lived my own life. I had 92 years in front of me, and I spent every last one of them on someone else's life. I can't get them back. I can't live them over. They're just gone. If you're listening to this right now, I know some of you feel something that don't sit right, something you haven't asked about, with your husband, with your wife, with your parents, with yourself. The truth don't go away just because you don't ask. It just shows up later. And when it comes late, it don't just bring the answer. It takes back all the time you spent pretending. Don't wait 40 years. Ask today.